Hello, it's me, it's Wolfram, and today I bring to you this deck profile for Zorga BT13. Alright, so for today's video, two things. First, I didn't get my Philander cards, my new cards just yet, but they are coming on the way. But I didn't want to wait too much to do the video, so I just put some proxies in, okay? And the other thing, it's just this little disclaimer that while I think this is what works best for me, you should definitely try to be happy and have fun with your decks. So I would love to give my perspective on the deck, but feel free always and please have fun with your cards and be able to tune your decks in any way you want. Okay, so let's get started with this. First, we will cover the trigger lineup fast, and we will discuss the core cards for the deck. Those are the cards I think that if you want your deck to perform optimally, the best possible, you definitely want to run those cards as long with the triggers. It doesn't matter your playstyle, I think you want those cards for the deck to work. Then we will dive into what are the cards you have more flexibility to adapt or not, and we will discuss the new cards from BT13 versus the old ones in BT12, 11 or so. Okay, so let's get started into it. First we have our right line, of course, Zorga right lines. Then we have OT. I think this is the best one. If you don't want the best favor, sorry, I think the next best it's Eidos Faro, the blue one, because those two basically give you the crit pressure and green the cards, this one heals, and they are not dependent on how you swing your attacks. So basically you don't want to spend the whole game doing misventured attacks to try to hit the red OT. I think either this or the blue one works better because you don't have to play around them. They just work smooth into what you're trying to do. But I prefer this one because the heal can come very clean. Then we have three fronts. Basically, I think for BT10 or so, before we get like the cards that give us consistency, the Habitat or the Forbidal, we wanted to run draws to get access to our cards in time and don't break. But I think that once we dive into the actual metagame, I think, well, now I think either draws or fronts are fine, but I think that fronts are better on the long run because some of the situations need to be solved by taking opponents out. And if you run the draws, it's like, okay, some games you will have this fast start. Like, I think if you want to play an aggro version, draws will work better because you will see the cards fast and you will be able to start playing sooner. But if you want to play the list as I do, more mid-range, more control focused, and you want to be able to control the length of the game and be able to make it long, fronts are the choice you should be running, okay? But draws are fine, especially in BT13, because the game got a bit faster now, and having us access to fast cards is also good. But sometimes, like if you play Lia or Youthberg, to be honest, Youthberg kind of deck out alone, but if you're versus Lia, you want to have the fronts to have the capacity to make the game longer and not deck out yourself. And then we obviously do 8 fronts, 8 crits, okay? You want to have the 4 Alanas, and as long as you have that, you can do whatever with the arts. And finally, 4 heals, okay? Here, basically, it's the choice for the OT or the fronts or the draws. If you go aggro, you might want to do the draws, but otherwise, if you want to play the list with more bulkiness, you want to stick to the fronts. Okay, then let's move into the cards that are core for the deck to work, the cards that you don't want to cut, if you don't want to cut on consistency as well. And here basically we have the 4 Zorgas, the 4 Shadow Cloaks, the 4 RPDs, and the 4 PGs, okay? You kind of want to have the 4 unit PGs because of how the deck functions, especially now that the game got a bit shorter. You want to have access to the PGs fast, so you want to be able to cycle through the ones on the drop, and you want to be able to bounce it if you don't have the second copy. So I definitely, now, more than ever, the PG unit, it's more useful than the Elementaria, okay? So if you run less than 4 copies of this, you can do it, but then you will see that sometimes you don't have the card, or the card comes late, or like Youthberg bottoms the RPD, so you want to have a third one, so oh, you are just running 3, so you cannot play because it's now in your deck. Okay, so basically you want 4 of these to work just to be able to play. Okay, now let's move into the non-core cards. Here you have the flexibility. You can choose to change one card or 2, and it will still function properly. And let's get started with the unit. Here it's like where we start talking about how BT13 upgrades or do not upgrades actually impact the deck. Personally, I think that the deck has reached its maximum potential with the BT12. Like, if you're on BT12, you have access to the most potent version of the deck already, which is basically having the 4th attack with kill, using Beast Advance to grind and get our cards back. Okay, so when the deck functions at its most potential, you will like probably have a cow on your board to grind the cards, and you will be able to do the 4th attack, even against the pairings where you don't want to use the kill as much because you want to save resources and damage deny. That's fine, you still want to have the kill. Any fast kill, like yeah, okay, no problem. There is no fast kill without kill, okay? So any game that ends fast involves having the 4th attack ready for you to swing. So yeah, if you go second, you want to have it as soon as turn 3 most of the times. If you can do that, then they are very, very scared of you. So in my opinion, we still want to run for 2 kills because it's a card that we really want to see fast, and it's involved in our win condition, like our better games involve having this card. Then for the same reason, I wouldn't cut to less than 2 cows. I will be honest, most of the time if I lose, it's because I'm missing one of those 2. I don't want to run less. Even with Philander or even with Habitat, I don't want to put myself in a situation where I cannot see those 2 cards. I think like if you run 4 copies, it's fine because you will usually find one of the 2 after Mulligan. Then you can focus your game into finding the card that it's missing, and cards like Philander, Habitat, Freeze, those cards will help you finding them in time, but you don't want to do like 1-on-1. I have seen like this, and then I will discuss this later, but basically this leads you to have the wrong kind of games, okay? And then we can complement that with the 2 Philanders. I think here it's important to stop a bit and think how this card improves or, again, does not improve our deck, okay? If we have this, and we have the Zorga, we have the Shadow, and we have all the cards, we don't need to see this at all. This card, it's good, but if you see this, but do not see that, or do not see this, or do not see the Shadow, the game will likely be lost. Okay, so what is this card actually doing? Because then you can say, Wolf, but why you cut this? Yeah, why do I cut that? The thing is that this card, it's very good at, if you consider it to be like extra copies of cards such as this one, or extra copies of the orders, if you consider this card to be a good early game fixer, you will find out that having 8 orders plus 2 of these will make you brick less for the early stages of the game. This means like if you don't flood your deck with that and you start seeing multiple copies that do nothing later, you actually have like an extra plus on consistency on how fast you can start the game. Then that it's really nice because cow your first 3 turns it's a bit iffy because you cannot really overcommit it, and then it cannot get killed, so you cannot play aggressive with this card, but you can with this one, and it enables like some kind of course of play where you can call this soon to swing, find maybe this or maybe that, and then you don't mind if this dies. So it's a good card that it's beating on the front. If we enter this BT13, we will find out that some decks got a bit fast, like Liet's very fast. For me, Leonor, it's the best deck in the format right now. For me, like if we had like the Impact Dragon, the promo, the Grade 2 promo, that card it's broken. If we have had this card for now, for BT12, for me that deck would already been the very best, okay? But yeah, the thing is that some decks can be fast, and you actually want to have this increase in consistency for your early game, like these extra 2 copies of it's not like 2 extra copies because this card doesn't imply that you will have those, but you have a plus on consistency to seeing your best early game plays, or maybe that, okay? And this will help you a lot to start the game the way you want to start. But anyway, you don't want to float of this, because if you run like 4 of that and you don't see those, you won't have orders to play, you won't have a 4th attack to finish the game, so that's definitely not something to want to do. For me, I have found out that my sweet spot is having 2 copies, because yes, this improves your early game and also improves your late game, because you can have the 18k booster, but you don't want to give up on having those other 2. By the way, I will try to get those on shiny border soon when I can, but it's not on market yet. Okay, so yeah, for me, like if you run 4, you have to match. You have the card, but you don't have other cards to find, because you are running so little amount of the others that you cannot see them. There is another option for me, like you can run a 3rd copy if you give up on Miasma and you do like if you do like 7 orders and you forget about this, you can run a 3rd. But I don't really feel comfortable about putting either one of those. For me, those cards are too important. If you don't see them, it's really bad. You can have your 4 copies of both, just get one fast and try to find the other with the right combination of orders, and usually you're fine by turn 3, 4. Like, I'm surprised, but because with this you can have access to the 2 copies and the 2 copies really soon, and I feel like if you run 2, you are actually increasing your ceiling, because you have a better early game and a better late game, and you usually have the same potential in mid game that you usually had. So for me, this is how this card can upgrade the deck. By the way, you should be having like some kind of notes here. I will try to add some notes in case I'm not moving my cards too much to the place, okay? Okay, that's fine. Let's move into the order. Here we will discuss as well the new order for BT13. For the moment, it's like 2 masks. You want this to play. You want that. This card is on demand, Zorga. If we get a new Zorga, because I don't know if you have seen it, that it's spoiled that in the new season Masanori will stay there. If we get another great Z Zorga, we can use this to find our boss as in on demand. This is so dope and so fun. Then we have 1 Miasma. I think you can cut it for the 3rd Philander, but for me this is like a very good win condition. Like you reach this late game and the numbers are so big that they cannot really stop you, and that's very nice. Also with this you have the double bouncing plays with those cards, and you can like set up 2 Shadow Cloaks and get 2 PGs or 1 PG and 1 Zorga back to hand, so that's really nice. Then we have the Habitat. I think people wants to run more of this because there is some crazy aggro plays with that, but if you run the deck as I do, I think the aggro plays tend to be kind of baitful in the wrong way, because you don't want to waste or overcommit the card soon. You want to generate situations for mid game. That's where you win the game. Like I see myself putting this back into the deck. Like I'm mostly only keeping that if I'm missing either RPD or 1 order to play, or if I don't have like freeze or habitat already, because sometimes you keep this and okay, you have that aggro start, but then you cannot link it into a good mid game, so it's detrimental for you. Like I think this is very good because it helps you start, but if you already have the cards you wanted to have, you just put it back into the deck and it will come to you back later eventually. Then we have 1 Malice, which is the best card in the deck. If this goes to damage, we lost. So yeah, Malice and 2 freeze. Okay, so here is where the debate starts for me. We can forget about those 2. And okay, so here is where the debate starts for me. I've seen people like they run 1 of these and 2 of that. I think that's fine. Personally, fine. I prefer this because it makes 2 things for the deck. It makes your games either longer because you can reutilize the same copies of Zorga and PGs, which is basically extending your sustain for the game because you have more number of Zorgas or PGs to play, or you can also reuse the OT as a PG. So I prefer 2 of these versus 1 of that, also because I don't want to play an aggressive game, and because I'm not running the 4 cows anymore, the chances of this actually getting me the cow turn 1 to CB1 now are lower, so I don't want to do that. I think this card is very good if you are playing a more aggressive playstyle with the Eolith. This card with Eolith is very good because you can have it so soon and start hitting, but not with this list. With this list, I want to reach a situation of control where I can reuse my pieces and block the game for the opponent so they cannot play comfortably. So I think basically if you can exchange that, that's fine. But then there is this card, which is the third BT13 card, which I think doesn't fulfill as well anything of those cards, what those cards are doing. Because here, theoretically speaking, you are saving 1 soul versus that, and you can still get the same card from the drop zone, but the chances of milling heals, PGs, or Zorgas and diminishing your late game potential are too huge, in my opinion, to even consider this card. I don't want to put myself in a situation where I lose all these PGs, or these Zorgas, all these heals, or much triggers in my deck. I prefer to have more control of the situation. And also, there is another reason. If I had like a good sustained reason to save the Soul Blast, I would play this card, but there is no reasons. I have this, and I barely ever run out of soul with the deck, so there is not an stamina reason for me to play that. Like, in experience, when you try this, you are just losing a lot of cards from your deck that you want to have in your deck, and it doesn't let you control the situations well. So this card is the best card in sustain. If you feel like you're having some kind of issues and resource managing the situation, I keep saying that, no, if you have problems with the resource management, that card might help you. Or if you like try builds like have 4 Philanders and no cow, then you are forced to play that because you want to have the orders back. But yeah, if you're not playing that kind of greedy playstyle, I don't think this card pays off. I see this card paying off because it gives you faster starts versus this, but I think this card is not good at the moment. Maybe in the future we get some expensive card that costs soul and maybe we can run it, but I don't think the time has come yet. Okay, so I think I have basically covered everything I needed to cover. I think it was very fast. I'm proud of myself. But yeah, that's basically it. If you have any question, feel free to ask on the comment section. Also, if I see later that I have forgot to say something, I will put it on the information section, like short, explained there. So yeah, that's basically it. I think that we have to keep in mind that Zorga has access already to the best tools possible, which are Cow, the Kill, RPTs, Shadow Cloaks. As long as you can have that, you will be able to win the game, and you don't want to lose all these capabilities we have already. Like, we could, yeah, I will be very honest, we could not run this card, and the deck would be still very good. Like, for me, only Leonor is better than this in the BT13. Because other decks have either speed issues, consistency issues, then when they are doing this thing, they're still relying on having good checks. For me, this deck, that's what it has to do. It's not as good, because Leah is very, very, very good, but as long as you can play it control, you will be able to win. I will also upgrade guides to play versus the main pairings of BT13, just like I did with Orfest, and I will cover how to approach them with this idea of the deck. I'm sure with this deck, with this card in the deck, there is access to more aggro versions, but I think that Vanguard is a game that doesn't reward for being aggressive. Like, there is this card, the order, that makes your tokens swing for 30, but even if you pull some kind of aggro like that, the chances of that working enough for us to top on long events, I don't think it's that matters enough, because you will see the opponent, like, because, I don't know, the amount of defense you lose throughout the game because of that kind of cards that keep making you lose cards fast, it's too big, and you can get stopped by OT, they can heal, they can just kill you fast because you don't have the defense. So yeah, those playstyles can be played, but I think they are a bit less powerful. So yeah, that's basically how I do it, but it doesn't mean that it cannot work for you. Maybe it's just not for me, but maybe you want a more aggro style, and that's fine, okay? So yeah, that's basically it. I hope you enjoyed, and see you soon. By the way, I will be uploading fights for the new decks, but I don't know what happened in Spain, but we don't have the booster yet. It's like delayed 2 weeks, so I kinda want to wait until we have the cards to do the videos. So yeah, that's it. That's why I might delay a bit. Okay, so see you soon. Bye bye.